at Siege at 3 o'clock. All right. My name is Bob Carter, voice actor and Chief Creative Officer of the Neighborhood Studio. And
September Day Carter. I'm his boss, which is pretty awesome.
That's true.
Yeah. So they're on. Yay.
Yeah, they are.
We can use them.
Okay. I just turned them on.
Oh, you did?
I did.
You turn a lot of things on. It's very cool.
That's right.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm. All right. So we'll go ahead. My number one employee.
Funny.
I know I am.
Funny.
Give your
She's got
rundown.
jokes, ladies and gentlemen.
I do. I really do. Do your rundown. Who are you?
Oh, so first of all, welcome to the How to Voice and Act and Get Cast in Video Game panel, right? That's what we're here for. For those who do not know me, my name is Bob Carter, longtime presenter here at Siege. I am the voice of Shao Kahn and Baraka from Mortal Kombat 9, Balrog from Streetfighter, Sig from Full Metal Alchemist, Bojack from Dragon Ball Z, because we've got high res here. I'm also the voice of Odin from Smite, and also this year, recently, the voice of Olorun from Smite, completely separate, which is especially impressive because I'm the head of two different pantheons, and I'm quite proud of that fact. And let's see, the father of three small, awesome boblings, and what else are we doing? We got a bunch of stuff going on. I'm also a broadcaster.
Coach, we teach.
Voice, yes, definitely we teach.
We run D&D panel. We run games,
amazing D&D campaigns.
Yep.
Amazing. And in fact, here you go. Spoiler, you guys are in on this. This time next year, I will probably run a one-shot for Siege. I'm going to go ahead and call it right now. I'm going to run a one-shot game, D&D game for Siege, and it's going to be epic, I can assure you. Now, to my left, even more impressive than me, would be my amazing, lovely wife, September Day Carter.
Hi, guys. I started doing this in 2007, February 2007. So I've got about half the experience, but twice the credits. I started in a completely different way. You came up through college. I came up through getting mauled by a Rottweiler at my job as a veterinary technician, and decided that I would try something safer. So we did voiceover.
Let me know what you've done.
Oh yeah, well, I've done a lot. Well, besides having to birth the boblings, which again, yeah, that was exciting. Yeah, never the same. So I am the voice of the Amazon Kindle Fire. All the Fire editions, if you turn on the text-to-speech voice, that is my voice talking to you like this. I am also a ton of interactive voice response, which is when you call and you are talking to Bank of America. Please enter your account number. I'm sorry, I did not understand that. Please enter your account number. Para español, yeah. So I do a lot of that. I do my biggest SE company for that would probably be Michael Kors. I also voice for Bare Minerals, the long format infomercials for Mary Kay as well.
How can you forget Charter? Like when the cable comes out like on a Friday night at 8 p.m. and all you want to do is watch something that's epic.
Mm-hmm.
I just randomly happened to call up one time and got her voice, and it made everything that much easier. It calmed me down.
Well, I could tell you what to push to get past all the gates. I'm the voice of Skynet for Terminator Salvation and all the promotional materials. If you happen to work for the U.S. military, you might have heard me saying target in 10 meters, that kind of stuff. That's also in a couple games as well. I'm really good at AI. That's frightening but hot. So that's kind of my thing. Animal Crossing, a couple other video games and stuff, but mostly I do mostly work on the commercial side, and not so much long format because I'm spoiled. So yeah, so that's my credits.
She's also the voice of Mary Jane in Death of Spider-Man. Check that out on YouTube. It's still racking up like 5 million.
It's over that, yeah.
It's over that.
It's huge.
It's over 5 million. So we're going to talk to you guys about getting cast. All right. How many people here want to be voice actors?
Hell yeah!
Right.
Yes, that's right.
Excellent.
Amen.
Well, first of all, if you want to be a voice actor and you have no experience in that, then next Saturday we're having a beginner's workshop at the Neighborhood Studio. If you can't make that, that's fine. We do it every third Saturday of the month, but that's actually what we teach. We teach people how to get into voiceover. So this is why we know how to get into voiceover, how to do voiceover, right? But in this case, how many people here want to learn about not just doing voiceover, but maybe doing anime? Raise your hands if you want to do anime.
You mean voicing in anime?
Yes, if you want to voice in anime.
There you go.
And then also raise your hand if you want to be a video game character. It should be everybody. Everybody, raise your hand. Who would not want to be in a video game? Come on.
Yeah.
Don't be too cool.
Well, and also,
Right.
we talk about like all these things that are kind of obvious for voiceover, but there's a lot of things that you would not think about for doing voiceover. And like after this panel, I encourage you to spend the next week or so like really listening. Where do you hear voices? Like not inside your head voices, but out into the real world. At the airport. Where do you hear all these things that are happening? What is it? The channel at the hotel that's like about the hotel. Yeah,
Yes.
you're going to hear voiceover people doing those types of things. It's a very wide, weird world of fun stuff, some creepy stuff. You might have a stage name when you're doing some things that might be questionable. If you work for Disney, and then also Trojan, never the twain shall meet. We both have aliases that we use on the reg. And
Your pet's name and then the street that you grew up on.
Yep.
Classic.
So
Always a
good.
classic.
So good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so think about that. It's not just commercial work. It's not just cartoon work. And the internet just like totally blew open the industry because it was just in the period of time I've been there, it changed so much. When I first started, they were still saying, move to LA, move to New York. You can't be taken seriously if you're in Atlanta, Georgia. And right now I say to you, we're not having rolling blackouts. So, they don't have power there right now. So we win.
Also, voiceover is a global business, just like video game development is a global business, right? You've got video game developers that are now working in Amsterdam and
Shanghai.
Atlanta and Shanghai
Australia.
and Vancouver and Glasgow.
Mhm.
So again, video game development is become a global thing, right? Did you guys know this? Are you aware of this? Okay, I want to make sure. So again, with like these virtual conference rooms, you can work from anywhere. Well, that also means that voice talents and voice actors are working from anywhere for video games all around the world. And so just like you guys are uploading games to Steam, right? We got indie developers. We've also got a lot of indie VO that's happening. Now the thing is, I want you guys to realize from a game developer side, so for those of you who are working on your video games, your game is amazing and awesome and it looks incredible, but it needs to sound memorable. And as amazing as it looks visually, you need something that gets stuck in somebody's head. So again, certain tunes that get stuck inside somebody's head, right? Mario Brothers, right? We all know the sound of Mario Brothers. We all know the sound of Mario. We also know the sound of certain characters that scare us when we're playing a video game and then they suddenly jump out at us. Or my favorite, my personal favorite, we also have had that experience of maybe rage quitting. I can assure you that as the voice of Shao Kahn, nothing brings me greater joy when it comes to video games than meeting people who I've made rage quit in the past. Because they will never
They are many.
forget.
They are many.
You suck, right? That mocking laugh that just sticks to them and it just drives them crazy. It drives them, they can't put the game down, right? They can't put that game down because of that sort of thing that catches them. You want a fish hook that's going to catch people in your game. That fish hook comes from certain memorable quotes. That fish hook comes from certain memorable sounds. The sound of Balrog. Say goodnight, chump! Right? My fight money! Right? That's the stuff that, like, it catches people. And you will remember that for the rest of your life. I still remember the very first time I ever heard, "Come here! Get over here!" from Scorpion in the very first Mortal Kombat, right? That sort of thing stays with you for the rest of your life. So if you're a video game developer, think about that sort of thing. What elements can you put into your game that will really make people remember that? It's not just the bright, vivid colors. It's going to be that sound that echoes in their imagination time after time after time, year after year. That means you need a good sound that goes with that, right? So that goes with that compelling story. And you need somebody to voice that compelling sound, that compelling story. Do you know what's amazing about my wife?
So much.
She sounds just like Katara from Avatar, The Last Airbender. And we all remember the intro of... Do me a favor, do that. Yes.
And I believe that Aang can change the world.
We all remember that, right? We all remember that. So I would constantly ask her to say, okay, say it. Say it again. Say
Really?
it. Yes.
And I believe that Aang could change the world.
Right? I mean, do you realize how old Avatar, The Last Airbender is now? And yet we still remember that. So think about, for game developers, what are the quotes? What's the history? What's the mission of your game? get somebody to voice that.
And
Because
if you're
it's gonna
new, if you're new and you haven't like done a lot of casting, I beg you, I implore, get a couple of veterans on your game, and if you have veterans, they can help coach the newbies coming in. If you also choose coaches, like, real life coaches, we can, bring you our roster. We have talent, of course, that are working with us. And so we can present, all these people who are used to taking direction from us. And especially with us, we're very much, like, it's our goal to help students get paid. It's not about even getting a job, getting booked, getting a gig, getting something on Fiverr is nothing to celebrate, okay? We don't do that. But like when we first met, second time we met, I was actually doing this how to do this type of voiceover thing. And 'cause I actually got pissed because I was seeing people get ripped off. And I was actually one of the people that did get ripped off. And so I started doing this thing of like, well, here's how I did it. Because, no, I didn't have to pay my dues. No, I didn't have to go to LA. No, I wasn't even coached. I started in February 2007. September 9th, 2007 was my first live announcing job at the MTV VMAs in Las Vegas. Drunk Britney, that was my VMAs. Yeah. But because I was able to do that, and I was able to tell people how I did it, and make it where people could, jump on that train. And then he came on, because I didn't know anything about radio or video games or anime or cartoon or any of that stuff. And so that's how we even just started the neighborhood. And there's a reason it's called the neighborhood. It's, we socialize there. We're friends with our students. And if you don't have a skill yet, if you're trying to become a voice talent, if you're trying to cast, you need to find people that have this full service thing happening, because it's really hard to do it disjointed. A composer on one side, a voice actor on one side, an engineer, all this other places. The more people, the more companies, oh my God, we have had email chains that were longer than the Bible. And because it takes so long for everyone to get back to each other, it's just a grind, and so much better now.
Well, September.
Yes.
When you cast somebody for a video game, or when you're casting them for a project, what are the things that you look for in their voice?
Mostly not just in the voice. I actually prefer to do a little bit of a live casting if it's not someone I know, because I like to throw curveballs. Because how you handle curveballs that tells me your level of talent right there.
Does somebody have to have an amazing voice?
No, God, no. I mean, Gilbert Gottfried, hello. I mean, he sucks, and he's, he's doing well. I'm going to tell you, actually, one person who shut me down, because I was like, oh, God, he would be a terrible voice actor, is Bill Hader. His normal speaking voice is just grating. He's a cool guy. I think he's funny as hell, but he has these voices that when he does these voices, they are amazing. Yeah. And that was one of my big things. Like if he'd come into class and I was hearing him talk, I'd be like, Fiverr. But no, he has this amazing range. So for me,
so what you're looking for then is range?
Totally, yeah. As well, and like what you're good at. If you don't have a huge range, if you're starting out and you don't have a whole lot of voices yet, if you are epically awesome at one or two, you still can get in. That's what I did. When I first started out, the only voice I had was sexy. That was it. I've been praised for having a sexy voice, and so I was like, all right, we're going to do it like this. Doesn't matter if it's condoms or AIDS. We're going sexy.
Whoa.
So, well, it's true. I mean, honestly, it was true. So I started to add on. I was up to 5. I think I went to 7 now. About 7 voices, yeah. So, and again, it's hilarious because you wouldn't think there's like a lot that can be done because, I mean, he's huge and he's big, but hell yeah. I mean, going to see a Funimation session with him, oh my God. I fell in love with this man at that time. It was amazing, amazing. If you guys know Full Metal Alchemist people? Yes? Sig Curtis, right? Okay, yes. All he did the entire session was and it was still so great. And he played a pair of twins. He played a pair of twins, and all the twins could say was
Nobu.
That was it. That was it. And then he had to express all these different things. It was so great. It was one of those things where it was like, oh my God, I want to have your bobblings, please.
Okay, so you need to have great range as a voice actor.
Well, or be epically great at
1 or 2 voices.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then what else do you need to be what else do we need to do if we want to get cast in, say, a video game or a project that you're doing?
Well, honestly, guys, you got to put yourself out there. Coming to this type of thing, yes, do this. I also recommend getting on Kickstarter, looking at all those Indiegogos. If you go and now that you're thinking about the voiceover part of this type of world, if you go and look at some of those Kickstarter videos, like the visuals are awesome, beautiful visuals, you're like all engaged, but there's no VO. You know, I saw this great pair of parkour running shoes, and it was so cool, the visuals. And you're watching it, but they missed this opportunity to tell you what the shoes were doing and how it was helping the runner, you know, do all these amazing things. They missed that. The creators at the end were sitting down on a park bench, and apparently the mic was over, and it was a really windy day. And you couldn't hear anything. It was so bad. So that's where I would go. Start in. You can, I mean, it's so simple, guys. You just go look at that project, see what the specs are, lay down a couple of lines. Hey, I saw your project. I love it. Here's a little, you know, what I can do. If you're interested, let me know. The internet has changed the game. Okay, so again, we teach personal responsibility. There is no reason why anyone can't start booking something when you have at least a little bit of experience, a good coach, and you want to, by speaking of which, if whatever you want to do in voiceover, find the coach that has done that. You know, don't go to somebody who hasn't booked in 10 years. Your Clio from 85, that's great, but what have you done since then? Any coach that you choose, you should be able to say, hey, can you tell me something you've done recently? Can you point to something that you've done on YouTube or anything like that? And if they can't, well, then there's a reason they're probably coaching right now. So that's that. For me, honestly, you know, if you want to do anime, cartoons, video games, this is the guy. He can bring anything. It's true. Well, you can bring out anything out of anybody. You might not think you have anything that's like going on. You do.
Well, I'm going to make sure that you understand. You don't know what you can and can't do yet, right? Until you play. You got to play. I'm all about helping you play and explore your creative side. But let's say you've got the voice, or you've got one or two epic voices, right? And we're talking about in terms of casting these people. What's the next step? Somebody should know how to direct them, right? It's very important to know how to direct them in a video game or in whatever that project is that they want. What's it like to be directed or to be directable as a voice actor? What's important to you?
Prepared for anything. I always want to hear you say yes. The booth is not the place for no. If you're in the booth, it's always yes. It's always yes. Even if you don't think you can, try, because you just don't know. We have superhero names, superhero VO names. He's Voxelips.
A Voxelips.
and I'm empathy, and that's because I'm really good at kind of knowing what directors want, even when they can't tell you what they want. Apparently, he fell in love with me the day that I was taking direction from someone who said,
well, I don't know. I fell in love with you the first day I saw you.
that's true too.
But in all seriousness, this guy said, can you give me more? I don't even know what I'm looking for, but can you give me like 30% more? And she did. She did. She gave him something, and then he called it sassy pants. But this guy didn't even know what he wanted. He was a new director, and he didn't necessarily know how to communicate effectively, and he didn't know how to use his words, because, again, he was a new director. But she was able to read his mind, read his aura. I don't know how she did it, but you did it, and it was incredible.
But you keep trying. You just don't say no. And also, you can ask them to give you an example. You know, can you tell me kind of what you're going for, so you have something that they can actually say? It gets a little weird if they say it the right way, and then you say exactly the same thing, and they're like, no. Yes, it is. But just don't say no. Don't shut yourself down. I'll let you say it. I was with him at the recording for, what was it?
Balrog for Streetfighter. I wasn't going to use this as an
It's all right. It's good.
This is being televised.
It's good. I'm good.
Sure?
I can suck it up. I'm all right.
All right.
We're teaching. We're teaching hospital.
In that case, let me tell the story.
Go ahead.
My wife is incredibly funny, okay? I mean, she is amazingly funny. So when I was recording Balrog for 4 hours in the booth, and I'm, throwing my punch combinations, or I'm, obviously yelling, my fight money, whatever, all this other stuff. She is on the other side of the glass making jokes at my expense and making sure that the guys from Capcom and making sure that everybody that was there recording us were having an amazing time. They were having a fantastic time.
Which was amazing considering the Korean people there.
No, Japanese
did not speak much English at all. So we were able to still have a lot of fun with that.
So when I finished, the director looked over at her and said, "Can you do a German accent?" Now, for my Street Fighter fans who know and love Street Fighter, if a director, just so you, even though for those who don't know, if a director turns to you and looks at you and asks, can you, sir, do a German accent? What would you say?
Yeah.
Ja. Was ist die Geschwindigkeit? I mean, throw out whatever German words you know, right? But ja, or nein, but I'll try. Or, you know.
Get to the chopper.
Yeah, get to the chopper, whatever. It doesn't matter, but just try it. Just yes and. Yes and. The concept is yes and. But you know what she said? Nope.
No.
And crossed her arms and boom, did this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she got in her own way of success because she could have been the voice of Karen just by being willing to try and just by being willing to put herself out there. But that's going to happen, all right? It happens to everybody. Just so you know, it happens to myself as well, just not often, but it does happen to everybody. It's about expanding your comfort zone. So as a voice actor, you have to be willing to expand your comfort zone. You have to be willing to try and do whatever it is that the director asks of you to bring out the best performance you can for that video game or for that project, all right? You have to be willing to do that. That means you have to be able to get over your own internal junk. And we all have our own internal junk, right? I'll be the first to admit, we've got internal junk. So what you want to do is you want to put those habits in place to overcome that, whether it's going to improv comedy shows. We all love improvisational comedy, right? Like, whose line is it anyway? Okay, well, even when you watch the show, notice how it fires off your imagination, it fires off your creativity. Even if you're never going to actually perform on stage, just that act of being inspired spills over to other aspects of creative arts and creative exercises. But when you can get over your own self-issues, that's a great thing. So improvisational comedy is one of the things I always recommend for people. Go to the shows. Because again, it's going to fire off your own imagination. It's going to fire off your own creativity. Better yet, take classes. Because then it's going to help teach you how to get over yourself and perform on stage in front of a bunch of strangers, or just at least to be willing to accept what somebody gives you. So that if they ask, can you do a German accent? Can you do a German accent, sir? Yes, exactly, right. But whatever it might be, you want your instinct to be yes and be willing to play, be willing to try. All right.
And I would encourage you to do improv with actual him, but it's true because it's really, well, it's different. It's different when you're doing stage improv because you're incorporating a whole bunch of things that don't go with VO. Like you've got this whole body thing that you can do in the booth. No one sees that. Yes. So it's better to be able to do, and you have to be a little faster because you don't have this, lax time to, do whatever funny face in front of the audience or whatever. You're doing it with your voice. So to be able to, for me, it was not wanting to look foolish. I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was doing. I was stuck in my cool place. No one likes to feel like you're bad at something. And if you're trying to do something, me? You.
Me? You. No, I need to pick up my
Ha, ha, ha.
Turn it on.
Barely.
More. All right, fair enough.
Okay. But no, honestly, for me, it was not wanting to look stupid, foolish, like I couldn't do something. It was really, really hard for me. And he is actually the one who was able to get me over that because if your teacher is willing to do the greatest silverback gorilla impression you've ever seen, it so loosens up everyone. Don't you think?
I do believe that.
It is an amazing impression that you do.
That. You know what? We are being filmed.
I know we are.
And you really want me to do
I
this right
so
now?
do right now. As payment for the 3 bobblings I gave to you, let's do this.
What's great
Thank
is that you guys are about to do that now too. Everybody stand up. Stand up.
Oh yeah.
Come on, stand up.
We're doing it.
Stand up. Yes, you too. Come on,
Yep.
stand up.
You're not cool.
Here we go.
No one's too
so
cool.
This is what it's like when the director asks you to do something, okay?
Yep.
So, all right, here we go. We're going to pound just above our chest.
Yep.
All right, we're going to pound just above our
Be
chest.
careful.
All right, so.
Oh, I like this one too.
Yes, groom. Right. No, you guys don't groom each other because you're
No, don't do that. Don't
But
do
in
that.
all seriousness, now,
Yay!
notice just that moment right there, that adrenaline that goes through you,
The
right?
smiles. Everyone is smiling. Really?
Yes, you guys are having a
yeah,
good time.
having a good time with
Except for
that.
the ones who are like, I'm not doing
I
it,
won't
no way.
play.
But that's because, again, that's that comfort zone that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's not about getting out of your comfort zone. It's about expanding your comfort zone so that you can feel comfortable doing that sort of thing. All right, have a seat. But notice that adrenaline that goes, all right, that you feel that adrenaline that kicks in. That's the rush of performing. That's the rush of acting. That's the rush of being in a video game. That's going to have that kind of lasting memory that stays with people for generation after generation. You want to put that in your games. You want to put that in whatever creative projects you are doing. Okay, it all starts with a story. So everybody here, sorry about that. It all starts with a story. So everybody here, remember that. Try to write things that will
compelling.
Yes.
Something that's compelling or funny or memorable. And also, we do a speakeasy, a circle where an audition circle. Anyone is welcome, any range of level of experience. And this is really cool. If you're casting stuff and you want to sit in and listen, this is a great way to do it.
Yes.
Because the speakeasy is incredible. You get to hear everyone else. As voice talents, we're kind of solitary creatures, home studio, and sometimes we venture out into the weird world of studios. But to be able to have this group of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, and you're all doing different things, but you're getting to hear what someone else's take on something is, and that's really invaluable when you're starting out and as you progress. Because as you progress, you kind of even sometimes will be like, well, I know it all. I'm good. I'm good, and it's not. You need to go back and see. And if you're casting, again, that is something that would be very good for you to come in. Even if you already had some dialogue, some sides, bring it. Bring it and let the people who are there, just read off of it.
As a matter of fact, I can't tell you this. I can't tell you what the project was, but I can tell you that a casting director for a video game here in Atlanta who cast Monica Rial and some other voice actors came to our speakeasy because she wanted to hear what other takes would be like as she was practicing her direction. And so she got to hear an entire circle of talented voice actors going through the script.
Beginner people.
Well, no, beginners
too.
and pros.
Yeah, and pros, yeah.
And as a matter of fact, for this past Wednesday speakeasy, we had a couple of scripts that were going around that were actually live auditions. And I can tell you this, one of them was for a video game that they got cast for. And then we recently booked a couple of audiobooks for the studio. And one of those people that was performing in practicing the script, she ended up booking that audition just yesterday, in fact. So being a part of that speakeasy is a really good experience. And of course, being a part of whatever type of, it's like beta testing, right? I mean, anybody here ever been a beta tester for games, right? You work through that, you work through the game, you work through the problems, you fix the bugs, you
try to break it.
Yes, you literally try to break the game. And so that way the developers can fix it. It's the same concept. That's exactly what we were doing, and it worked. And so as you guys are thinking about casting, or as you're thinking about being cast as a voice actor for whatever that project is, remember this. All of these different creative projects, they're all based on the same premise. They're all based on the same concept, something creative, right? And it's all collaborative. So you will have your own personal specialty in whether it's sound or whether it's visuals, whether it's illustration, whether it's coding, whatever that might be.
Editing, anything,
Yes.
yeah.
But again, it all overlaps and it's all supportive. We're all creatives and we're all supportive of one another. And so
you hope
you're
from
right.
time to time. But no, that's again why we have the
You're
neighborhood.
yes.
The neighborhood is the neighborhood because we have all these different people doing all these things, and it's just all together.
Yes.
It's so much fun. And in fact, Funimation, can I tell you what they first did with us? We were the first studio outside of Funimation's studios that they trusted to record for anime movie. So we actually, at our little studio, recorded Fairy Tale Dragon Cry.
Right. Now we're not
So-
not the latest.
Not
but
the
again,
latest,
now
yes,
everything
but that was
happens
our
on the West
first thing.
Coast and in
Yeah.
New York as well. But again, I want you guys to remember, try to be supportive of one another. And you're right. Not all creatives are like that. Some of them can tear each other down. But I want you guys to try to be positive and supportive of one another. I live in that kind of circle, in that environment. I'm all about the team. Together, everyone achieves more. And I want you guys to have that same philosophy, that same mentality. So that way, as you are working on these different projects, it is a team mentality. And that's one of the things that the culture of Atlanta games and game developers all have, especially here in the Southeast, that's very different from the West Coast. You know, a lot of game developers and projects, you know, they're not permanent, right? And so they have layoffs and they have layovers and all these different things. It can feel like a very competitive environment. Here, because of the Georgia Game Developers Association, because of our culture here in Atlanta and in the Southeast, this is much more collaborative. And we like it that way. So let's keep it that way. So remember that as you are improving yourselves and your skill sets, and as you are getting jobs in the industry, remember to be collaborative and remember to help each other so that together we all achieve more.
And we don't teach competition. We don't teach competitors. We teach colleagues.
Yes.
We want people to book. The whole point, I mean, being creative is awesome. That's great. But the business side, you still got to make money doing it. You still have to do that. So don't get caught up in this whole like, you know, I'm still doing this thing, I'm doing this thing, I'm getting ready. We're going to have a meeting to plan the meeting for the meeting. You're going to get stuck. You know, you have to make rent. You have to have that mortgage payment. You got to feed your kid, your boblings. They eat a lot.
So understand you have value.
Yes.
And appreciate that
Yes.
value that you have. All
Absolutely.
Right? Now, again, we all have to pay our dues. We all have to do certain things. We're working on a limited budget, all right? I mean, we're all doing free games. I mean, I've got a game that's in development right now. Actually, we have 3 games at the studio that are in development. You guys are going to have different projects that are in development, but you still have to pay your talent. You have to pay your people in whatever ways you can. If it's free food, if it's free movie passes, if it's free t-shirts, whatever the things are that you can do to pay people, leverage your resources, right? Remember that. Be resourceful. You are creatives, so be creatively resourceful, but take care of your people and make sure that you are inspiring them and motivating them. And then again, make sure that you're doing the things that you want to do to be cast.
And true, honestly, just being an incredible person can get you really far. The guy who did the whole Spider-Man, Death of Spider-Man thing that we were part of, dude got A-level talent to come up to Alpharetta, Georgia in the middle of the night to record at GM Voices, and he paid us in Little Caesars Pizza. And we were thrilled because he's such a cool guy. And because of all that, it's hilarious. And he actually, he did this because he wanted to be the voice of Spider-Man. He grew up saying, I want to be the voice of Spider-Man. He was actually an audio engineer for GM Voices, and I met him while I was doing the Amazon Kindle job, which was 9-hour days for 9 days, and I just given birth to the first bobbling. And so we got to talking, and I was like, oh, you got this great voice, you should do this too. And he's like, all right, I'll give it a shot.
And now he's the voice of Spider-Man. Spider-Man Sphero. Andrew Bates, you can look him up on IMDb.
Amazing,
He's
amazing.
Yeah. You know what? Let's take some questions. This is not about us. This is about you guys, all right?
Anybody?
So who here has a question? Anything? Ask us anything.
Oh, no. Oh.
Yes, sir.
You need to get a seasoned talent beside you and to help. Honest to God, if you are doing that, getting someone who has done this before, it will really take a load off. It really will. You just got to trust people for that.
But again, if your budget is limited, and so you're going to work with young talent, new talent that's coming out, analogies are always great. You want to find out where their comfort level is, right? Find out what their baseline skill set is. You know, what are they good at? And first things first, you're just going to have them do a simple read through. And then once you see what they sound like and once you hear what they sound like, then you can have them make adjustments. So if they're, hopefully the demo that they've submitted to you showcases their range in a real sense. So that way you can know, okay, this person can not only sound like Rick and Morty, but then he can also sound like Thanos. You know that this guy has amazing range, right? But if they come into the studio and you know their voice is very just tight, it's obvious that it's nerves. So you need to make sure that you just set them at ease, have them do that first read through. First read through doesn't even count, right? Because you want to hear what they sound like, and then you're going to ask them to play, and just ask them to play, and then see how you can get them to relax and then showcase their skill set.
I also like having back and forths. It's kind of hard when you've got new talent that doesn't have anyone to play off of. So having somebody beside you or a seasoned voice talent that can play can actually, you know, again, that can help them get the nerves out of the tight voice. Yeah. Anyone else?
Any other questions? Yes.
work and all that. Oh, there it is. And booking work and, you know, online resources.
Oh,
or
online resources. What are some online resources for booking work? All right. Well, if you are a professional voice actor or an aspiring voice actor, once you've got your demo, then you can go online. I mean, there are the pay-to-play sites. There's everything from voices.com, Voice123, Bidalgo, Enter VoiceOver, VO Planet. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Also, you know what? What's that anime group? There's an anime. It's on Discord.
Yeah,
and
you'll see it. It's on Discord. But honestly, for me, again, trade shows. Find out what you want to do and find out when the trade shows come into town. Because VR stuff down at Cobb Galleria.
SiegeCon right now.
Yeah,
You
right
got
here.
these great video
There
games.
you go.
Parallel, the
Yeah.
game that doesn't have voice acting.
Yep.
That's an awesome looking game.
And it needs
Justice
voiceover.
Rising that doesn't have voice acting. That's an amazing looking game that needs voicing. The GDC, the Game Developers Conference, right? PAX. Go to these conferences, go to these trade shows, meet with the game developers, introduce yourself. Mike, what's your video game called? Elemental Rift. It's an amazing game. Put some VO on that thing, and now it's going to be iconic because you've got these really great characters, right? So you've got different types of games, and you're there. You're breaking through their bubble of busy. Does that make sense?
And honestly, I mean, again, online, that's still kind of competitive. But I promise you, if you go to the Atlanta Home and Garden show, you're going to be by yourself as far as voice talent walking around to be able to buck. The only thing I say is I would avoid going to conferences that are specifically for voiceover because everyone's there thinking they're going to be able to get work and stuff. If you want the camaraderie to hang out, just go to the hotel bar and just go hang out with these people. But you want to go where there's not a lot of people to compete with when you're first starting out. And even as you keep going in your career, it's way easier to, at Terminus 2 years ago, we were at Terminus, and I happened to be in the elevator with the tequila guy who had sponsored
CEO.
the whole,
She means not just the
Sorry,
tequila
guy. The
Hey, I got a bunch of tequila. No, the CEO of a tequila company.
That was sponsoring it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I asked him, he saw my badge, and we talked, and by the end of the elevator ride, I was the voice of his brand.
So you want to go to the places where people can hire you. So if you want to be a video game voice actor, you
Congratulations.
go to Siege, you go to Game Developers Conference. You go to those places where the people can hire you, right? Make sense? All right. Next question. Yes, ma'am.
For aspiring like indie voice actors and whatnot, how much would you recommend putting into like getting your own mic or recording setup?
Ooh, what a great question.
Fantastic question. It's mandatory. You're a business owner. All right, you got to look at this like a business. This is not just a
Congratulations,
hobby.
and we're sorry.
Yes. Now, you don't have to spend $1,000 for that microphone. You can get a brand new quality AKG for $149. You can get the 420 in case you decide to do podcasting. The AKG P420, it's a bicardioid microphone, so it records on both sides for $199. All right, but you need to have a good quality setup so that way you can record commercial grade quality voiceover.
For the love of God, do not plug a microphone into the USB port on your computer. For the love of God, do not do this. For me, my setup is AKG. I love AKG. It's what I use at home and at our studio. I always prefer what I call a translator. The interface that's going to be the translator for your mic to your computer. And they're easy things now. When I first started, they were like, oh, just pop your computer open and change out the sound card. No. So they now have these external sound
card mixer,
which is so much better because you can travel with it. If something happens to your PC or laptop at home, you can go to your friend and say, hell, I'm going to bring my mic and my external sound card, and we're good to go.
Yeah, and so, I mean, just those two pieces of equipment can help you. You can get a good quality setup for less than $250.
Yeah, easy.
Probably around $300 just for your equipment, okay? But understand, you are starting a business. You are a business owner. You have to make an investment in your business. If you're going to be a game developer, you've got to make an investment in your laptop, in your computer, right? You got to make sure that you've got some kind of an excellent video card because you want to make sure that the graphics pop because of the product. You want to make sure that the product that you are putting out is the best and shiniest that it can be.
You want to make sure that you're filling out all your tax return stuff. All of your tax forms, you need to have your business checking account that's separate from your personal account, and never the twain shall meet. It's hilarious because creatives, oh my God, we love being creative, but paperwork?
Yeah, we
what?
hate
No,
paperwork.
what? I mean, invoices? I have to submit an invoice? What? He likes to rag on me about that, missing out on the Streetfighter thing, but I'm able to push your competitive buttons when I fill out the paperwork
Oh, yeah.
first, and I get the check, and he's like, oh,
Yeah,
I
where'd
guess
you
I
get
should.
that?
I
Yes.
should fill that out. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to understand that you are a business owner, and you have to remember what that means. So even though you're an indie voice talent or an indie voice actor, you
Or
still are a
developer,
business
yeah.
owner. And in this case, your product is your performance. It's your quality. It's the confidence in your voice, the quirkiness of your voice, the quirkiness of your performance.
And
Make
your
sense?
kick-ass demo.
Yes. you gotta
Majorly
have a
have
great
to
demo.
have a great demo. No doubt.
Because they need to be able to hear your range, right? You need to show them what you can do. And they might not have even thought about certain voices that you have because they didn't think about that. But when you show them what kind of range you have, they're like, ooh, a new toy.
A toy.
What
Oh,
all
God.
can it do? How can
Yes.
it bend? What is it? So they're going to want to play. And when they hear that, they can't help but subconsciously cast you in the other 4 or 5 projects that they're working on.
Mhm.
I guarantee you, we all, like all production studios and game developers and all these different people, they all have like 5 different projects that they're working
At
on
least.
at different
At
times.
least.
We've got 2 audiobooks, 3 video games, a SAG-AFTRA short that's in post-production,
Oh, yeah.
another one that's in pre-production, and then not to mention we've got like commercial work that we're doing as well
The
that we have
Eye.
to get done, an audio drama
An
that
audio
we've got to
drama.
get done, another audio drama that's in the wings based on superheroes. So just from the neighborhood studio, I have all this other stuff, and then I hear somebody's voice and I hear how quirky they can be or how demonic they can be or whatever, and I'm like, oh, that's a villain for season 2. You can't help but think about that. So when you've got these other directors, these audio engineers, these sound designers, and they're working on different projects, and they hear your voice or they hear your
Your
range,
demo, yeah.
they're going to put you in other roles and situations. Anybody that has looked at my IMDb, I've got like 80-something credits for Funimation. I promise you, the first 50-something credits, every single time I went into audition, it was for a hero. It was for a superhero. I wanted to be the good guy. I wanted to be the hero of whatever that particular series was. And guess what? Every single time it was, yeah, that's great, Bob. Can you do me a favor and read for this other character?
The
'Cause I had
monster.
it was either
Yeah.
the monster or the villain, or because they want the like the deep voice, right? Remember the hero's story arc is they want the high pitched guy because he's the underdog and then he's got to grow. And they don't want the Optimus Prime kind of hero. They want, the deep voiced hero. I mean, they want the deep voiced villain. So every single time I went into audition, I would never get cast as the hero. Like that was bruising to my ego. But at the same time, it took 50-something credits for me to realize that the villains have the best dialogue, but I was constantly getting cast, thankfully, because of my performances in these other auditions that I would get while I was in the booth, because these guys had other projects that they were working on, and as soon as they heard my voice, they're like, oh, I need to use him for this. They're going to do the same thing with you. They're going to hear your voice, and even if you don't get this one particular job, as long as you're fun and interesting and you take direction well and you show that you've got range and that you're willing to do the things that they ask you to do and that you can take that direction well, they're going to think, oh, I can use her for this project. I can use her for this other video game. I can use her for this other industrial project that we're working on. And as long as you show that you're competent and your turnaround time is quick, they're going to use you all the time. And then you won't even have to audition for jobs. They're just going to call you up. Like you.
I know. I'm very, very lucky. But and that's not just with video games too. If a production house is working on stuff, it's usually there's, again, like what we said, we've got commercials and all these other projects, but you'll get to do like corporate narration, which is not sexy, but it pays and it's consistent.
$50 to $500 a page.
A page. Yeah. So it's like, you'll read for DHL shipping and it's like, here's all the tools and you walk through the thing and whatever, and it's 20 pages long, but you're getting paid, $50 per page. We work for Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut pays $300 per page. So it's, again, it's not like, ooh, you can see me on TV, but it's like, ooh, check, came in the mail.
Yes.
So that's a lot of fun too.
Yeah. Next question. Any other questions?
Anybody?
Yes, sir.
You-
What are examples of good director direction?
Oh, well, everyone is different. There are a couple of different styles. There's the percent guy who's like, I need 8% more smile, but like 20% like sarcasm with it. So that's always fun. You know, the percentages, there's smidgens, there's all sorts of things. It's more, you've got to find your style and stick with it. If you're wanting to direct, it's way easier to lock yourself into a certain way to express what you want rather than trying to jump all over the place, right? That for me, it's a lot easier.
For me, good direction is when a director knows what they want.
Oh, God.
They have a vision.
Does that happen?
Yes.
I haven't really
Yes,
had
it
that
happens.
happen.
But what happens is when you get a new director and they don't necessarily know what they want, and then they can't convey that to you, they can't express that to you, number one, and then you're uncertain. And so then you're trying one thing or another. And if you're uncertain, remember, confidence or the lack thereof comes out in our voices immediately, right? And no matter how great your voice might normally be, if you're not sure about what the sound is, because they're not sure about what the sound is that they want, it's going to get reflected poorly. And then for the rest of the session, you're like, did I do that right? Is this right? And it's frustrating. That's very frustrating.
It's frustrating for everybody because I never say it anymore because one time we went into a recording session. He was sitting on the outside of the glass. I was on the inside of the booth. And he was like, oh, let's go to lunch afterwards. And I was like, yeah. He's like, what's the project? I was like, oh, it's like 2 30-second commercials. How long could it possibly take?
As that echoes in my mind.
2.5 hours later, he fell asleep in the studio engineering area.
30-second commercials, right? A 30-second commercial at most should take maybe between 5 minutes and 15 minutes for a 30-second script. It's not a lot of words. But guess what? He wasn't sure what he wanted, so he kept having her say it over and over and over again. And then he went line by line and then word by word, like 2 or 3 words by 2 or 3 words. That's a director that doesn't know what they want.
No clue. Well, and also like the job booked, it was for a lingerie shop. And when I booked it, the direction was girl next door. I'm like, okay, cool, no worries. Get there, and we do a couple takes, and he's like, okay, I actually want leather-clad dominatrix. Hard left turn in direction there. Big left turn. I was also 8 months pregnant at the time, and hungry. So it was brutal. And are you asking like how to be a good director or how to work with direction from directors? Like, are you for what side? Both sides. That is actually the best way to do both things. You can learn how to communicate better to voice talent if you have done some of that yourself. And I think that's an important thing to do. But yeah, it's get that demo, getting a demo from somebody so that you kind of know what they can do. That's important, and that takes a lot less time. Frankly, you know, if you have a person who's got this big range, you can kind of go, all right, well, I know what they can do. They got on the demo. Let's go with that until you're confident about it. But if you're giving direction and it's not going well, you can always say, okay, let's shut the session down. Close it down for today, and then let's have a talk about what you want instead of wasting time in the booth. Because man, it gets tiring. You know, we're standing on the inside of a very hot, unventilated booth, okay? And if you're sharing it with somebody, and they had, I don't know, Ethiopian food for lunch, no ventilation. No ventilation.
Anyway.
Oh, so yeah, so if it's starting to be like so true. You know it is. I know. So bad. So bad. So bad.
But in all seriousness, what you want is to make sure that when you're giving direction, know what you want.
Yeah.
You have a vision. There's a reason why you're the director for this project, right? And so you want to make sure that you just convey that and direct them.
And if it's going bad, stop. Just stop.
And then
you
pause and take
right,
a breather.
collaborate and listen. And maybe, you can come back with a brand new invention.
Yes.
So
And is something going to grab a hold of you tightly?
well, it's like a harpoon daily and nightly.
Will it ever stop?
Yo, I don't know.
All right.
No,
All right,
sorry.
moving on.
Yeah. So there you go. But no, and if you're not having a good synergy, I know it's so great. If you're not having a good synergy, it's okay to shut down and stop and kind of reevaluate. It happens. It happens, and it's not you can't just like be on the director's side. It's better to accept that okay, things aren't going so great, rather than getting into that director of like, I will get this out of you, because you won't. at that point. Yeah.
Next question. No more questions?
Man,
Awesome.
we taught so well.
Yes.
No, we
did.
covered everything. Everything. No.
All right, so let's see. Next steps. So you want to have an action plan. That's another thing, right?
Mm. An
Your
accountability
to-do list.
partner.
Yes, you absolutely want to have an accountability partner, but think about what you're going to do over the next day, over the next week, over the next month, and over the next quarter to help you move forward to become a better voice actor or to become a better game developer, right? So what are you going to do? Obviously, you're attending Siege and you're listening on these panels and these workshops. Well, then you're going to think about that and you're going to write down the things that you want to make sure you follow up on between tonight and tomorrow, or between tonight and next week, right? In terms of following up, if you want to take lessons or classes from us, let us know that you attended Siege and you're going to get a discount. Usually the beginner's workshop is $185. You guys will get it for $150. It's a 5-hour workshop on, again, how to set up your home studio and do it on a budget, on rates, on demos, on
Agents, taxes, credits, the Georgia tax credit that you need to make sure you tell every single person about, because
finding work,
Yeah.
where to find work, what to say to find work, right?
yeah, we did home studio stuff. Oh, demos. How to, where you
we
get
talk about
one.
that too.
Yeah.
And then also for the game developer side, right? Let's say you guys want to get voices for your games. We have a pool of talent that is absolutely incredible, and we can provide them with you. I'm going to make sure that you guys know this guy right here is an amazing voice actor because he trained with the best. And more importantly, you can ask him about what it's like to work with us if you ever have any questions. And then if you guys are working on games yourselves and you're looking to develop them, then of course feel free. And then also if you want to know what it's like to work with us from a personal perspective, you can ask him right there because
Well,
he is a sound designer. Yes, sir. Go ahead, wave.
Yeah,
stand up.
it looked like he was about to tell people what it was like. What?
They're both going
Yeah.
to.
What's it
But
like?
again, it's not just what we're
Is it
talking
great?
about up here. I want you to ask around and see what it's like working with us. We're not perfect, but we
Well,
work
you
hard.
know.
We're great. We're great. Yeah. No, don't worry about perfection. Seek excellence. All right. And as you strive for excellence, that's what matters.
I
And then
love when
don't-
you speak in bumper stickers.
Hey,
it's
it's
so
true,
great.
but don't take
It's
yourself
so
too
great.
personally. Nobody's perfect.
I know, coexist.
Yeah.
Sorry,
coexist.
I am my own Reddit. I really am
Namaste.
my
Yeah. / rare insults.
Yay, me. Cool.
Yes. So in this case, follow up with your friends as well as your professional colleagues and think about where you need to move forward over the next week, or like I said, the next day, the next week, the next month, and then the next quarter, the next 90 days. Okay? Make sense?
Cool.
And then follow up and shoot us an email on what that's like, and we'll be happy to.
Do you want to give out our information?
Sure. Pull
Okay,
out your cell
guys.
phones.
Coaches don't do this. I'm
That's
just
right.
letting you know. It
That's
doesn't
right.
happen.
Pull out your cell phones.
I'm going to tell you.
678
Oh, God.
561.
Yep. Here it is.
Huge. 678-561-4843. That's my number, Bob Carter. So put me in your cell phone and then you text
Ooh.
later. And it's Bob at neighborhoodstudioatlanta.com and September at neighborhoodstudioatlanta.com.
And neighborhoodstudioatlanta.com for our
There's our
website,
website.
which is really fun, cool
Yeah.
website. You should come see.
So any projects that you have that you're working on, feel free to email us or text us because we'd love to be a part of them. And if you are looking for certain people or talent, then we're more than happy to make recommendations there as well in terms of voices for your game.
Come
or
to
your
the
projects.
Speakeasy. Come to the Speakeasy.
Absolutely.
It's every, how long are we doing now? Every 2 weeks?
Well, it's usually every 2 weeks, but in 2 weeks on Wednesday. But this next
Aw.
Wednesday, it's our wedding anniversary, so we're not going to have a speakeasy. So it'll be like the 1st or 2nd November.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be on the calendar.
You'll see it.
November 9th, I think is the next
And if you're
speakeasy.
wanting to cast, we'll totally pull a
Yeah.
random Speakeasy just for you if you
Yes.
like.
Yeah. But if you have any other questions, feel free to find us somewhere around Siege or follow up with us, okay? All right, guys. Happy Siege. Thank you very
Thanks,
much for your time.
guys.